Good day, everybody. I am Coach J, Mr. J, and I am a betrayal trauma practitioner, intrapersonal relationship coach, and uh, much more. Anyway, I like to start my classes with a corny dad joke, and today's is this. Can trees poop? Of course they can. How do you think we get number two pencils? Ba-dum-bum. All right. If you can take two deep breaths with me, preferably in through the nose, out through the mouth, but however you're comfortable. Actually, it was preferably with your eyes shut. Obviously, we have to breathe. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Today, I'm basically just going to share a study with you. It's pretty much all this class is. I'm just going to share a study with you. I'm going to talk a little bit about a study that was done on some of the reasons people gave that they decided to forgive their partner after some type of betrayal or infidelity. And the reason I wanted to give this is because 99% of everything I'm going to say you've either heard before or you know. But sometimes when we're going through something, an additional challenge is the fact that we feel so alone. So I want to share some other things of those who have been in your shoes for no other reason. If it does give you some information or enlightenment, wonderful. But for no other reason than just to say, you know what, geez, I'm not alone. Infidelity is a relatively common occurrence, estimated to occur in about 25% of all marriages and close to about 75% of all dating relationships. Of course, we all know the aftermath of being cheated on or betrayed or infidelity or manipulated or gaslit and all this other stuff have a variety of unfortunate symptoms, including post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, anxiety, all the stages of grief, and so on. While there are many common reasons not to forgive an unfaithful partner or somebody who has lied, cheated, stolen, betrayed, manipulated, gaslit, and usually when one happens, a few other happen at the same time, which is why it's profoundly overwhelming and devastating, and you're in shock when you do find out something, because it's like, for every cockroach or mouse you see, there's many you don't. While there are many reasons, like I said, not to forgive an unfaithful partner, there has been a study done relatively recently that sought to understand why people in general decide or choose to forgive their partner betraying them or cheating on them or holding secrets or living a double life. Basically, there was a study that was done a few years back on why partners stayed with their partners after infidelity. And so I'm just going to go over some of their answers. And I broke it down into four categories. The first category is they reduced it to the first category, I reduced it into the belief around the likelihood of it happening again is relatively nil. So people often chose to forgive if they thought repeat behaviors were relatively nil. So basically, if he or she showed that he or she truly regretted it, that helps people forgive. If the infidelity was casual and not recurring, that helped people. If he or she gave a sound reason, again, a reason is not justified in any way, but it's much easier to hear, I lost my dad, I was going through a midlife crisis, I lost my job, I was overwhelmed, I wasn't coping well, I got drunk, I had a one-time thing, I'm very sorry. I'm not saying that's excusable, justifiable, period, end of story, but that's much more better than, well, you weren't giving it to me, so I went out and got it somewhere else. I mean, so, reasons, sometimes the details are in the devil. The devil's in the details, Lord have mercy. If he or she swears that it will never happen again, if he or she shows that they really want to be with me moving forward, if I love the person, if this was the first time that they've done it, if he or she confessed on their own and I didn't have to discover it on my own. Again, if it happened only once, it was not a repeated occurrence. If he or she persuaded me that he or she truly loves me. that, this was, I hate the word mistake. I hate the word mistake. But for this class, I'll just say if it was a mistake. But again, I don't apply the word mistake to infidelity. It just doesn't really apply. If it was a frivolous act, if he or she was drunk when he said it, sometimes people give a little bit more clemency if somebody was drinking, or on some type of mind altering, whatever drug, which actually that's what limerence and a fair fog is. It's a mind altering drug. If we've been together for many, many years, if I believe that it led him or her actions, if I believe that I led him or her with my actions of infidelity. So again, if I acted unfaithful and this was a revenge or a retaliation situation, they were more able to forgive then. If overall we have a good relationship and a good time together before all this, people are more apt to forgive. And if it happened at the beginning of the relationship, so let's just say somebody is together 25 years, it was year 1 or 2, somebody was more apt to forgive. Again, I'm just sharing this study. You don't have to agree with it, love it, like it, emulate it. I just want to share what some people's thoughts were. The next one was the amount of dependency on your partner. So some people said if I really depended on them financially, I might be a little bit more apt to forgive. If I feel I cannot easily find somebody else, some people have attachment styles, or they really fear being alone or lonely. And that could be a motivator for staying with somebody, is I just don't want to be alone. If somebody doesn't have a place to stay, it doesn't have another place to go, very little support systems. If some people forgive so that nobody else will get their partner. Like, I think it was Donna Summer one time. Donna Summer was on a interview, and she was talking about, my husband and I get into arguments. She said, but when we get into those arguments and I'm really upset with him, if I think of him with somebody else, like in a relationship, in a life, in a marriage, she was like, I immediately snap out of it, and that helps me. So for some people, just, thinking, geez, I don't want them with somebody else. And if you're not with them, plus you can't make them suffer if you're with somebody else. I'm just kidding. No, erase that. If you're used to them, sometimes you're just used to somebody. It's like, a lot of these aren't healthy reasons, that. I mean, I can get used to a big pimple on my nose. Doesn't mean it's good looking or it's healthy, but you can get used to it. But sometimes it's just, who was it? Lord have mercy. I don't know, some famous actress years ago. I forgot who it was. Redhead, she has a cane. It doesn't matter. She was asked, are you ever going to date again? And she said, something? I don't think so. She said, because the mountain you got to climb just to get to a point where you can relax your shoulders. Shirley MacLaine, that's what it was. She was like, that mountain you got to climb is just, there's a lot of work. And so sometimes people are just like, you know what? We've been together forever. I don't want to start from scratch. Again, not a healthy reason, but a reason. If my family urged me to forgive him or her. So if the family knows about it, the family loves them, the family, knows it was a wrong act, and they're remorseful. So if the family has the support of the person that was betrayed, so as not to give up and give up everything you invested in the relationship. I mean, some people have traveled together and collected all these things, and people have kids together, and people have roots together. That's a lot to dig up to part ways. So some people are like, it would be such a headache and a mess to divorce. Again, not the best reason to stay together per se, but somebody's reason. Some people say, if I'm old, they're like, you know what? I'll be 6 feet under in a little while, so I'm just gonna deal with it. Again, not a good reason, just a reason. If he or she threatens to take their life, then they might decide they want to stay and try to forgive. Or if somebody is seriously ill, somebody's on their deathbed, they have stage 4 cancer, somebody might say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do my best to try to forgive. The next category is retaliation. And I think I covered this a little bit before. If somebody had a revenge affair, or if somebody retaliated because the original person had an affair, the original person is more apt to be able to forgive them, because they're like, well, you know what? I don't like what they did. Their coping mechanisms suck. Their maturity level sucks, but they were angry. Hurt people hurt people. Again, not justifying, not excusing, just sharing the study. And the last area was children, which is a big thing. It's a big thing. Now, listen, I do believe children would much rather be from a broken home than living in one. I can also say from experience, as the product of divorce, that takes a toll on kids. It really does. So again, if you're going to keep a relationship going where there's a war zone, kids don't want to be a part of that. So I guess it's, the less of two evils, whatever you can do maturely and, to the best of your ability with children in the environment. So, if you have children, people said, and or if you have children where they are asking you to forgive, I sometimes do family coaching, and it'll get to a point where, I see kids that are 6 and 7 that are crying, that say, mommy, please forgive daddy, or daddy, please forgive mommy, or daddy, please forgive papa, or mommy, please forgive mom, whatever the case. um, or even teenagers that, sometimes these teenagers, when I'm doing a family session, they'll be holding their parents accountable. Like, whoa, they'll be like, you always tell me to get along with my sister, but, can you get along with dad? How about that? So interesting. Anyways, this is certainly not an all-inclusive list for this study, but hopefully it's giving you a little perspective on some of the reasons people often forgive. And again, if it doesn't give you any perspective or anything like that, does it just help make you understand, geez, I'm not alone? And many people have been through this, and many people had to make some very difficult decisions. Again, in short, forgiveness, according to this study, the main reasons people forgive infidelity are reduced likelihood of future repeated behavior, dependency on the relationship. How dependent are you on that person? Are children in the mix? And one's own infidelity. If I committed infidelity, I'm more apt to, forgive if they did. I would also like to close with 2 additional ones that I just wanted to put onto this. And that is, one, giving yourself the gift of forgiveness, because forgiveness is like a ball and a chain wrapped to your own ankle. It's just really hindering your journey in life. So I would ask that you forgive as a gift to yourself, nothing to do with the other person. And 2, unforgiveness rapidly speeds the aging process. It wreaks havoc on our mind and potentially sets us up for future physical ailments, ranging from headaches to a weakened immune system and everything in between. So keep in mind, forgiveness shouldn't be your end all be all, and it certainly should not be a rushed process. You can say that, you know what, I want to forgive, or even I want to forgive. Keeping in mind that forgiveness is a journey, and that should forgiveness basically shows up organically while you're doing the work. So I was talking to a couple not too long ago, not from here, and she was like, on Valentine's Day, I'm going to choose to forgive, so and so, and we're going to start new. And I was like, yeah, okay, if that's what you think. But we just don't say, oh, here's a special day, I'm going to forgive this day. Really, while we're doing the work, forgiveness organically steps in when you're ready, when that process is ready. So I hope you got something out of this class. If not, feel free to write to me and lie to me and tell me that it was wonderful. Other than that, you have a wonderful day, and God bless.